Okay, testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2.
Testing, testing, check, 1, 2. Test it.
Keep it consistent.
Check, test, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, 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 check.
Keep going.
Check, 1, 2, test, check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Good afternoon and welcome. It's round 14 here in NPL Victoria, and we're bringing you live action from Petty's Reserve this afternoon. Manningham United versus Oakley Cannons. As the schedule comes back around and Manningham get a rematch against the Cannons side who beat them 3-0 in round 1. But this Manningham team barely resembles that side with so much change, so many injuries, absentees, young players coming into the mix. And there's even 4 changes from the side who went down 5-4 in a thriller against Altona Magic last week. George Samaranis, the goalkeeper, Hayden Cross and Mohammed Al-Sadi all dropped to the bench. James Tuntus is suspended after picking up his 5th yellow card. In comes Claudio Sikora between the sticks. Ben Everson is a big in up front, and Tom Golding, who scored his first goal for the club, gets a start. And in comes Dow Akol, back from a fractured skull that he suffered against Moreland City. Would you believe, played out the 90 minutes with that injury before a visit to the doctor revealed the extent of the damage. But he's back into the side at centre half. And retaining their places, Reece Doveton, Alex Castiello, Marco Tavella, Junior Carter, Ali Turgut, Christos Theodorakopoulos and Jose Ramirez. Oscar Murphy, Lucas Heverim retaining their spots on the bench. Heverim making his senior debut last week, and Abdul Abdallah comes in to round out the substitutes for George Karkaletsis. For the Oakley Cannons, far less changes to report on. The only one is enforced. Oliver Kubalay picked up his 5th yellow of the season in that 2-0 win away at Hume City. He drops out. Noah Holmes straight into the midfield. Nick Feely between the sticks. A back 4 of Kingsley Sinclair, Brodie Boyce, Jacob Eliopoulos and Connor Hampson. Cam McGilt partners Holmes in midfield. Emlyn Wellsmore, who scored an absolute screamer against Hume City to open the scoring, starts on the flank. Pierce Waring on the other side. Joe Guest, the captain, playing through the middle behind the striker Alex Salmon. And on the bench for Chris Taylor, Brendan White, Manib Adis, Luke Mensink, Rory Gregory, and coming back into the available changes, Stefan Valentini, who was absent last week. My name is Josh Parrish. I'm delighted to have some company this afternoon in the form of a former Manningham player. Spent 5 years at the club. Nick Hughes, welcome.
Thanks very much, Josh. Great to be here. Always great to see the progress of Manningham coming up into the top division this season, and a big test for them against obviously one of the powerhouses in the competition in Oakley. So should be in store for a good one.
Manningham in their trademark sky blue and dark shorts. Oakley in their all-white away kit. And the sun has come out for us this afternoon. In stark contrast to last night, where the torrential downpour threatened to delay or even abandon several fixtures. But we got through the OG Melbourne derby with South Melbourne winning by 1-0. The result that Manningham will be more concerned about is Moreland City beating Green Gully in a shock upset, meaning that the gap to the last place Moreland City is only 3 points for the 12th placed Manningham United. So suddenly, just over the last 2 weeks, with Moreland City winning back-to-back games after losing every game this season, the relegation battle is suddenly back on. Manningham, after losing their last 4 on the trot, it's been pretty rocks and diamonds for them this season. No draws, 3 wins and 10 defeats. Well, it's been more rocks than diamonds lately. Nick, it would be a massive result for them if they can pull off a similar upset today.
It absolutely would be. I was here when Manningham pulled off a huge upset against Avondale earlier on in the season. I think what was big for them that day is they really started the first 5-10 minutes with plenty of pace, intensity, and Avondale couldn't really recover after that fast start from the hosts. So I think they'll be looking to bring that energy again, and Oakley will be wanting to make sure they can settle into the ascendancy early. But as you mentioned, some big results last night at both ends of the table, so both sides will be out to pick up an important 3 points.
This is Cam McGill. Connor Hampson. Tavella in strongly. And now Christos Theodorakopoulos fulcrum of this side. 6 goals already this season. They've had no real trouble scoring goals. Their attacking record is level with 7th place Dandenong City. It's been at the other end where Manningham have suffered most. 37 conceded. The worst defence in the competition by some distance, but it's the risk they take with their approach, Nick. They do tend to roll the dice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something Oakley will have to be aware of. Manningham scored in every single game at home here at Petty's Reserve this season, so Oakley will be wanting to make sure they're nice and tight at the back. And you know, that was the thing I mentioned, that Avondale result. Manningham got the fast start, they got the first goal, and then they were able to build on from that. So Oakley will be wanting to make sure there's no repeat this time around.
Well, Ben Everson bustling his way through and winning an early free kick in shooting range for Manningham here. Could be a crossing chance as well with Dow Akol and Alex Castiello. Some of the tall timber thrown forward. Right and left-footed options over the dead ball. It's going to be Golding with the right boot into the wall. Now Jose Ramirez has a try. And it's beaten around the post by Nick Feely. Crafty work from Cam McGill to knock it against Tom Golding and win a goal kick. The first sider of the day goes to Manningham.
Nice little test, working Feely early in these opening minutes.
McGill exchanging passes neatly with Kingsley Sinclair. Wellsmore couldn't pick a way through a narrow gap. They've gone to 3 at the back today, it looks like, Manningham, with Akol, Castiello and Junior Carter dropping in. Had real shortages in defence. Been a key problem, but having Castiello and Akol back available together again is a massive boon. It's off the chest of Carter, who's more naturally a midfielder and can easily step in there. Golding for Everson. Trying to sidestep Sinclair. Cops a little bit of contact but kept his feet. If Ben Everson had gone down there, he might have won a free kick. Instead, it's just a throw. Too honest for his own good.
Such a big player for Manningham. Ben Everson with his quality across the final third, his hold-up play, his ability to bring his teammates in around him, whether it's on a counter-attack or a nice build-up in possession. It'll be crucial for them again this afternoon. But you mentioned that 3 at the back as well for Manningham. And you touch on the sort of defensive issues they've had so far this season. Conceded at least 3 in their last 4 matches, so I'll be hoping perhaps a slight tweak in system might tighten things up at the back.
It's odd to know how to feel about last week's loss. Heartbreaker. Stay with players. Theodorakopoulos drifts it in towards Akol. And it's harmlessly behind, but they were 4-1 down against Altona here before scoring 3 times in 2 minutes. And then copping a heartbreaking winner from Stephen Lawless. So what do you take from that, Nick? Are they down in the dumps, or is it, well, actually we can recover from any deficit and it's only ourselves getting in our own way?
It is tough. It's always, yeah, a bit of a double-edged sword. I think you can be pleased with the resilience to come back from a deficit early in the game, but
crossing chance for Oakley. Joe Guest flicks it on. That's an easy claim for Sikora.
Yeah, so we'll see how Manningham are maybe mentally today after that result last week. So far, I think so good. A nice controlled start to the game. A couple of little passages of possession, but that's a bit of a cheap giveaway there.
Yeah, that Oakley chance coming from a rather unconvincing clearance from Sikora. Usually the backup goalkeeper, but he's been preferred today to George Samaranis. No doubt will be ruining not having the opportunity to face his former sides. This is well worked for Oakley here. It's cut back towards Alex Salmon, clipped over the top. Not sure if it was a shot or a cross. In the end, it drifts over the crossbar. And Manningham breathed a sigh of relief after a very, very swish and fluid Oakley build-up.
It was a lovely move. It was a fantastic pass from Noah Holmes out to the right-hand side that sort of broke Manningham's defence open. And you just thought for a second that little dink finish from Salmon might creep under the crossbar. But thankfully for Sikora and for Manningham, it sailed just over.
Oakley's press just breaking down there, and you can see the reaction of the attacking players as Ali Turgut was found in acres of space, wondering where the next line was coming in. They win it here, though. McGilp onto Guest, and then Wellsmore. Manningham get a foot in and try and settle on the ball here. Doveton. Golding. Tom Golding showing great balance there. Sikora, again, doesn't get a lot of ground on the clearance. Doveton sends it upfield, and Jacob Eliopoulos will let it roll back towards Nick Feely. Significant home advantage on this synthetic pitch as well. We always talk about it, but it's an unfamiliar feeling for a lot of NPL Victoria sides. Oakley used to the natural surface at Jack Edwards, but they are a pretty techie team, so you'd imagine they'd quite enjoy the consistency of Petty's reserve, even if the bounce is a little bit different to what they're used to.
Especially when the sun's shining on a day like today. You never really know how visiting teams can cope with that. It certainly is an advantage for Manningham if they can manage the conditions.
It's quite warm today. It's going to be even warmer out there on the plastic pitch. There's been as much as 4 or 5 degrees difference for the players compared to the spectators, who are loving this afternoon Saturday sun. Theodore Akopoulos for Everson. Lovely drag back from the Englishman. Everson. That's a path through the Oakley backline. Before ceding control to Jose Ramirez. This is Turgut. Junior Carter sends a long diagonal in search of Golding, but asked too much of the New Zealander.
Had a couple of nice little passages of possession, but mainly through the defensive third, or certainly the defensive part of midfield for Manningham. They'll be looking to start breaking midfield lines and getting it forward a little bit more often as they continue to build into this game.
This is Marco Tavella. Nice shape on the cross. Nick Feely was out quickly and very confidently to claim that one, and Manningham attack comes to nothing. McGill looking for Salmon. It's a hopeful ball. The Englishman applauds the intent at least. Carter for Turguts. Akol. Back to Sikora. Carter. Nice dummy. Oh, and Tavella couldn't quite keep it in play. There's a lovely ball off the weaker left peg of Junior Carter.
That's that ball playing ability of the natural midfielder, as you mentioned earlier, Josh, dropping into that makeshift sort of back three for Manningham. Lovely little step into midfield, and just couldn't find Tavella with that clip ball over the top. But good signs for this new shape, I think, in the opening minutes for Manningham.
This is Noah Holmes finding Guess. Well-timed slide from Castiello, but it trickles back into Oakley's hands, and here comes Cam McGill. Pierce Waring. Deflection on the cross. And took all the sting out of it for Claudio Sikora. Tavella. Just trying to find some previous meetings between these two sides, Nick, other than the 3-0 at Jack Edwards in round one. They've met in the Cup a handful of times. I don't think Manningham have ever beaten Oakley, albeit they've only really had a senior team playing it. Let's stay with play here as it's turned over to Salmon and cut back to Joe Guest. It's Guest! And Joe Guest does what Joe Guest does. Ever reliable, slides it into the bottom corner. Goal number 7 for the Oakley captain this season. And a Manningham mistake punished in absolutely ruthless fashion.
That's a killer for Manningham. Talking about how they settled into the game, that started reasonably well, looking to build that possession from defence and start to look forward. But those kind of giveaways, you cannot give a player like Joe Guest an opportunity like that. That's a gift that he's going to unwrap 7 days out of 7. Lovely setup to find him as well from Alex Salmon. He knew where his teammate was. You can see that connection they have. Just slid it back to him in the box. The turn, the finish into the bottom corner. All class from Joe Guest, as always. And that's exactly the start that Oakley would want.
Joe Guest has just been such an outstanding recruit since Oakley brought him over. 2019 gold medalist, and he sets the standard every week. Looking for Ramirez with that pass. Theodorakopoulos. It wasn't the worst idea. But Oakley just have so much control over this game at the moment. With and without the ball, it seems.
Yeah, that goal I think will really help them build further into this game. And we talk about Manningham's defensive record as well. I think they're really going to need to switch on, buckle in for the next period of this game and make sure Oakley don't run away with it early.
This is Pierce Waring. Appeals for a free kick, but challenge was hard but fair. Everson felt he was impeded. Everson maybe a bit hard done by there, but here comes Noah Holmes. Someone was dropping off, but had 2 Manningham defenders nipping at his heels. Carter into Turgut. Carter with the eyes up. Spotting Reece Duffton on the far side. Wellsmore comes away with possession. Holmes returns the favour for Emlyn Wellsmore. There's just an air of anxiety around Petty's reserve every time Oakley go forward at the moment. Just brimming with quality. They showed just how good they are against Hume City last week, scoring 2 outrageous goals from outside the box to win that game. Against a Hume City side who's been in pretty impressive form themselves. Kingsley Sinclair. Out to Wellsmore to cross first time. Ends up with Pierce Waring. Snapshot. With defenders converging on his position and always trickling wide. McGilt for Waring. Noah Holmes. On to Brodie Boyce. Sinclair. Clips it into Guest. Just buzzing around endlessly, finding Wellsmore. Will buy a throw deep in opposition territory. Sinclair for Guest. Get a mulligan here, retake. Holmes, left it short. Can Manningham spring quickly? Ben Everson shows a clean pair of heels around the sliding challenge of Hampson. Still going, Ben Everson. This is an incredible run. And Brodie Boyce comes in the nick of time. A slaloming solo effort from Ben Everson is cut out just in time as far as Oakley were concerned. Back the other way comes Wellsmore. Manningham opened up now. Crucial clearance from the centre half, Alex Castiello. It's just that moment where Manningham break with bodies forward in search of an equaliser, and then Oakley win it back. You fear for them in their short numbers. Salmon was a nice idea for Guest, but Junior Carter saw it coming. And Ramirez, nice drop of the shoulder.
What a run that was from Ben Everson just before. That's exactly the kind of quality that he's got and will be so important for Manningham as Oakley push them deeper. That ability to maintain possession is going to be so important for them breaking forward.
Bit of guile and trickery from Marco Tavella there. The back heel from the fullback. Or wing back today, I suppose. It's just a question of whether they can get support around Everson quickly enough when they have those moments, because they will have those moments. Manningham always do. As you say, they almost always score at Petty's reserve.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, commend him for the incredible run, but you could just see when he received that ball, he looked up out to the right-hand side, and Tavella just wasn't quite advanced enough, early enough for him to release that ball wide, and then, you know, ultimately as the number 9, he doesn't want the ball around the halfway line or running through 4, 5, 6 defenders. He wants to release and get in the box and be sniffing around goal.
Carter. Is Tom Golding going to get there? Not quite. It's a ball they've looked for a couple of times. It's interesting to see how wide Tom Golding is playing on that flank, given they don't really have a right winger. It's almost an asymmetric system at the moment. Is that an area behind Kingsley Sinclair, who's not really a natural fullback they might be trying to exploit?
Football Manager style with the asymmetric formation. But as you mentioned, Carter in particular has been looking for that ball a couple of times. It's one that Sinclair and his Oakley teammates around him are going to have to be aware of.
Theodorakopoulos, great skill. That's why he practiced juggling at home, folks. Everson forces it through to Ramirez, chips it into the path of Tom Golding. Has Dupton in support. Lofted cross, looking for Theodorakopoulos. Connor Hampson won the aerial duel.
They're going to need much more penetration on any balls into the final third. That's really a nothing ball from Dufton, just lifted, looped up into the air, into a 50-50 challenge.
I'd like to see Tom Golding have a bit more confidence there to take on his man when he's 1v1, can go to the byline and try and get something across goal, rather than play the easy pass back to the fullback with a less than enticing angle. Does have that individual quality, Tom Golding. Flits and starts, and few and far between the moments of magic sometimes. You saw it last week against Altona, though. Wellsmore. Sinclair is thinking about his next move before managing to reel in the first touch, and it's an unnecessary giveaway for Oakley. There's a shoelace that needs seeing to for the Manningham goalkeeper. It's quicker than getting the gloves off, I suppose.
Maybe if Ben White was in the opposition ranks, he could have helped him out with the glove straps.
Hope that's a double knot, Junior. Don't want to be going back for seconds. Just out of play from Dufton. Eliopoulos. Jacob Eliopoulos looking for Hampson. Connor Hampson vaults one challenge. He's looking for the little reverse into Guest. And now Holmes' pass is intercepted. And Ramirez had only one thing on his mind, and it was Ben Everson. But a little deflection on that ball means the Englishman has really no chance. Guest curls one into the path brilliantly of Alex Salmon, and a beautiful back heel to find Pierce Waring, who strikes for goal. Straight at Claudio Sikora. When they get rolling, Oakley, it's just Harlem Globetrotter stuff sometimes. That was ridiculous.
That's right. They just make it look easy, don't they? After the quick turnover in possession, couple of balls forward, running behind, back heel, shot on goal. Thanks for coming.
Ramirez. Ako. Now Ako making a rare foray into opposition territory. He hasn't scored this season. He did have a key role in setting up one of the goals against Moreland City in their win away at CB Smith, where he spotted an opportunity to press on the edge of the opposition box from a short goal kick and just abandoned his position at centre half and went and set up a goal. So he doesn't mind the odd adventure when opportunity strikes. Waring. Tabella. Right on him. Castiello blocking off the pass to Hampson, but it ricochets into the path of Pierce Waring, who has the goal in his sights. Shot charged down by Ako. Now Sinclair. Kingsley Sinclair goes for glory. And it was always rising.
Always rising indeed. I just thought Pierce Waring, after that initial shot that he had blocked, as it sort of fell back for him, I thought he might have swung his foot through it on the volley and looked to strike, but you can see the tenacity that Oakley have. Once they get into that final third, they're willing to be direct, look to play a ball in behind, and if it doesn't work out, you can see the sharpness that they have stepping in, winning the ball back like Sinclair just did.
Well, the distribution of Sikora has been a bit of a concern so far.
Absolutely.
He's given it away again. Manningham maybe get away with one.
Yeah, that's a few times now, Sikora trying to not play out of the back, I suppose, even just trying to clear the ball.
Holmes winning it back. Alex Salmon thought about the shot. Steady. Squares it up for Wellsmore. Salmon again. Wellsmore lost his footing at the inopportune moment. Here's something I don't love about how Manningham is set up, and I don't mind this back three, but deep in their own territory, having the wing back take the throws instead of the right or left centre back, it just seems like it leaves them short an option up the line. In the opposition half, fine, but when you're trying to get out of your defensive third, it feels like he's got no one to throw to.
Yeah, that's right. No one directly down the line, and it's forcing everyone, to shuffle over. Then you miss that presence of Everson, your other creative players, Theodorakopoulos, in the middle of the park, and that's when you feel like they're them being forced to go long, play those switches.
It's a nice ball from Guest to find Sinclair. Cut back for Wellsmore, and then Salmon on the rebound. And the flag stays down. Oakley have two. Manningham still appealing for an offside. But Alex Salmon will take that to the bank. He's into double digits for the season. 10 goals for Alex Salmon already.
Well, the referee's going over. Oh, I thought he was going over to have a chat with his assistant. Instead, he's booked Reece Dufton, I believe that was. But think on the rebound from Salmon, I think is where Manningham felt there might have been an offside, but again, that's a couple of moves now down Manningham's left, Oakley's right, where they've broken through, and quite similar to the first goal. It was the little cutback to the top of the box. Wellsmore this time with the initial effort on goal, and Salmon is going to take those chances every day of the week. And as you mentioned, up to double figures, and that's breathing room now for Oakley that they can really take and coast towards the rest of this game.
Well, absolute sickening blow for Manningham. Well, if it was offside, it would have been a very narrow one. I think there's a defender just on the edge of the 6-yard box playing him on, but I'll let you make your own minds up at home. You in agreement, Nick?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like, I think Carter it was that made the block on the initial effort. I think he's actually ended up being the deepest defender and playing him just onside.
Well, we're assuming they were purely for offside. I think that's what it looked like, but it may have been another infringement that they had in mind.
That's right, and it didn't look to be any other offside in the build-up to it. But Manningham will have to forget that now. You know, they've got a game to chase here. They need to just get a little bit of a foothold on proceedings and start putting some pressure on Oakley.
Here comes Wellsmore again. Well, he's been sized down by Oakley. He got plenty of the ball. I think he's just caught one in the ribs there, Emlyn Wellsmore.
It's better from Manningham and from Dower Cole there. I mentioned with the goal, the similarity between the two goals, both coming down the same side from Oakley. Again, it's a ball down the right wing. You want to see a little bit more urgency for Manningham to step out and put a bit of pressure, and why not be a little bit physical? Leave something in, as long as obviously you're winning the ball first.
Long throw this time, flicked on by Waring. Wellsmore. Now Salmon. Opportunity for Waring to cross. Salmon's in there, fluffed his first attempt. Then Connor Hampson against the post. With a great save from Claudio Sikora to thank. It was a brilliant reflex stop. He made himself big. Smashes into his body and against the woodwork, and Oakley are denied a third.
That's an outstanding stop for Sikora, an important one for him. Just get his confidence going a little bit. We mentioned a couple of wayward balls into midfield, conceding 2 already. It's a big stop.
Well, Alex Salmon had a big old air swing at that first one. She'll be ruining. Meanwhile, Ben Everson trying to make something out of nothing here. Instead, Oakley find Guest. Just lost it in the sun for a moment, I think. Hampson. Hampson goes over. It's going to be a Manningham throw. This is what I mean, Nick. Who's he going to throw it to?
No, you're exactly right.
Theodore Akopoulos is double marked.
I think he's wondering the same thing himself.
Everson's come across now to provide the extra option. There you go.
You just feel like Oakley have the outnumber in every scenario at the moment.
I'm not saying Tavella's going to win the Flicks header if he's not taking the throw, but maybe he'll just suck a defender out and give Everson or Ramirez or Theodore Akopoulos a bit of a chance. Nevertheless, we'll put my very minor bugbear aside. And here come Oakley. Holmes for McGill. Noah Holmes, former Western United products. Now to Hampson, hangs it high across the box. He didn't play as many games as you might have imagined, Hampson. He was away in the UK, I believe, for a wedding, and then missed some games through injury as well. Play going down for Oakley. McGill thought he should have a free kick there. Elsmore's down the line for Sinclair. Dufton preying on his first touch. Manningham just can't get out of their defensive third at the moment. Oakley have them hemmed in, and even Eliopoulos is joining in the attack. They're in no rush here, Oakley. Happy to knock the ball around, 2-0 up, and pick their moment. McGill. Out to Hampson. Salmon. Hampson. Cam McGill. Continuing his run, McGill. Castiello tracked him all the way. That's brilliant defending. And then he's fouled by Connor Hampson. He's having words with the official after that. Thought it was a 50-50. Not sure how you saw it, Nick.
Seemed a bit of a harsh one. But he's just looking for Manningham to maybe take a little breather and hold possession here. That spell of felt like an eternity that Oakley just held possession, knocking it around side to side. You can see the distance between the 10 and then the 11th in Ben Everson, just standing all on his own on the halfway line.
Tavella lost it in the sun. Ramirez. Hampson sliding in. There's plenty of notable names missing for Manningham. This is Holmes. Keeps the ball well against the challenge of Dufton. Guest tried to play the 1-2, but Sinclair didn't quite see it coming. Sikora away. Holmes. Short to Guest. Back with Eliopoulos. Such massive underdogs in the top flight, Manningham. No one expected them to get promoted when they did. Went on this outstanding run after just hanging in the mix all season. Wellsmore. After some space for a cross. Waring, well challenged by Turgut. Back to Sikora to hack it away. I think they've surprised a lot of people with some of their performances this season already, and a couple of the big scalps they've had, or impressive showings against top teams. The Avondale win, of course, the obvious example, but against the might of Oakley, who've spent the last 6 years assembling some of the crown jewels of NPL football across the country. It was always going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Manningham story is such a fantastic one. In Victorian football, I've spoken about it before with various people. You look at even just the clubs around this area in this inner east. You know, you go back no more than 10 years ago, really. And imagine telling someone that Manningham would be in the top flight above Bulleen. You know, Doncaster Rovers just down the road, not even in the NPL. Box Hill, Nunawading, these clubs. Manningham have moved past all of them and sort of represent this area a little bit on their own in the top division.
Well, Theodorakopoulos might be in a bit of trouble here. Must be a talking to for Theodorakopoulos.
Might have been for the reaction to the call rather than than the foul itself.
I think he was saying he stepped on his foot, and I don't think the referee thought it was intentional, but just wanted to give him a word of warning, saying that next time that's a card. He's already got 5 this season, plus a red card for 2 of those yellows coming in the same game.
Interesting, just watching Joe Guest sort of marauding around the pitch. Junior Carter never giving him an inch of space.
That's across the face of goal, and Pierce Waring will pick it up on the other flank. Hampson arriving late. It drifts through for Joe Guest, who got underneath it. And that is uncharacteristic of one of the star men in NPL Victoria. Usually, he goes for power over placement, but that one, he's just tried to bend it into the top corner, and it's gone off all wrong.
Yeah, it's a big chance. A big chance for Joe Guest. I just had mentioned seconds earlier that I was just watching Junior Carter follow him all around. They came to the near touch line, moved over to the far side, and then went forward. And you could see as soon as Carter peeled off to make a challenge just before, that left Guest free on the top of the box. And that's a big chance for him, and one that he'll be disappointed with to not even put on target. But that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Obviously, we've been talking about this 3 at the back that Manningham have been playing, with Carter dropping in to form the middle of that 3. But just looking at it now, he just seems to be screening a back 4. So I wonder if they've tinkered slightly.
I think it would make sense to change shape at this point, just because they're so deep at the moment. Maybe an extra midfield presence. It's a clear free kick for Ali Turgut. Might get them higher up the park.
Yeah, it seems a 4-2-3-1 now.
Carter playing the tagger role. It's always difficult to know whether to have a designated man mark on the opposition's best play, whether it pulls you out of shape. I think in Joe Guest's case, it's probably best to expend all the resources you think necessary. Eliopoulos for Waring. You're right, Nick. It's looking a lot more like a 4 now. Brody Boyce. Boyce down the line. Wellsmore sucked in his marker and burst free, but Dow Alcohol is screening that channel really effectively. With just under 4 minutes left in regulation in this first half. Oakley have done it pretty comfortably. Manningham summoned something before the break to change the tone of Chris Taylor's halftime team talk. It's going to be Everson. Out to Tavella. They've got numbers in the box now. Manningham, can Tavella get a cross in? Can't shake the attentions of Connor Hampson, who's just defended him so well there.
That's outstanding from Connor Hampson. Touched on it, a fair bit of the play going down Oakley's right, but when he has had the chance to either get forward himself in possession or in any 1v1 defending scenarios, I think he's been brilliant in this first half, Hampson, and case in point there, didn't give Tavella an inch of room. You mentioned the numbers started to get into the box, really for the first time in this first half. Manningham getting numbers in the box.
First time since that free kick in the opening minutes, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Just been hemmed in for so long. Now they've got their line up a little higher, but here comes the Oakley press. Castiello having to stretch. Carter, great vision to find Tavella. Ramirez offering short. Everson wants it in behind early. Ramirez chooses a more patient option. Turgut working to Everson, and now Theodora Coppolis bursting through, but again, it's just brilliant defending from Connor Hampson. saw the danger and covered his centre-backs when they needed it.
I wondered if Jose Ramirez had just slowed the play down a little too much. After, I think Carter it was that found Tavello out here on the near touchline. Felt like that was a chance for them to break forward. Ramirez went short rather than trying to push Oakley's defensive line. It seemed to stop their attacking move, but a couple of lovely little one-touch passes. But again, as you said, Hampson is just everywhere at the moment for Oakley.
Wearing Ramirez like a glove there. Holmes just knows how to play on the edge of a foul without giving one away, Connor Hampson. Carter. It's the eyes up to spot Ramirez. It's more defensive work coming up for Connor Hampson. It's infield to Ben Everson this time. Tried to thread the needle, and Tom Golding would have liked it on the far side.
Yeah, arms raised out on the left wing from Golding.
He's kind of slightly peripheral figure this afternoon, Golding. He seems to be playing a slightly different game to the rest of his teammates. He's just waiting for his chance.
I think this has been a positive spell these last couple of minutes after seeming, as we mentioned, to revert back to a 4-2-3-1.
Turgut going to ground. No whistle. Oakley ball. Sinclair looking for flicked head up. And now Salmon is going to be offside this time. Well, he's already got one today, Alex Salmon. It wasn't nearly as spectacular as his ridiculous curler from long range against Hume City last week, but they all count. He's even scored a couple of times in games that have been abandoned this season, so his goal tally really, by right, should be higher.
He's well in the Golden Boot race. I'm sure he'll be certainly living by that they all count mantra, as you mentioned. Here
comes Golding. Cutting in field, finds the path blocked. And then Guest brought down. Played 45 minutes. Brody Boyce wasn't best pleased with the velocity of the return ball from Theodorakopoulos. And there sounds the halftime whistle. And Oakley Cannons continue on their march. 5 wins in a row in all competitions. They could have a 6th this afternoon. Whereas for Manningham, in a 2-goal hole against a side with Oakley's quality, there is a mountain to climb, Nick Hughes. But they've shown they can overcome bigger deficits. They've already done it last week, coming from 4-1 down against Altona Magic, only to lose 5-4. So there could still be life in this one.
Exactly right. It's far from over. We touched on the proposition of facing Manningham on home soil, or I suppose it's not really soil. Yes, indeed. So they'll back themselves to lift in this second half. I think that ending to that first period was nice and positive, changing the structure a little bit, looking to get forward more often. So it's far from over. We know the quality they've got. We've seen them take it to some of the bigger teams in the competition so far this season. So plenty of room for confidence. They just need to keep at it, sharpen up a little bit in the final third, and you never know. If they snatch the first one in the second half, it's certainly game on.
Well, we'll take a short break here on the NPL Victoria live stream. Josh Parrish alongside Nick Hughes. The halftime score is Manningham United Blues 0, Oakley Cannons 2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Petty's Reserve is the venue. The halftime score, Manningham United Blues 0, Oakley Cannons 2. After a pretty comprehensive showing in the first half from the Cannons. Alex Salmon and Joe Guest on the score sheet, as is so often the top scoring duo in this Cannons side. And a halftime change for Manningham. Josh Parrish alongside Nick Hughes. George Karkolets is going to his bench at the break, Nick.
Indeed. Touched on the tweak in the formation towards the end of the first half, and we've got our first change in personnel as well. Mohammed Al-Sadi coming on, replacing Ali Turgut. Looks like Al-Sadi taking up a spot on the right side of this new look 4-2-3-1 sort of system. Ramirez come inside into the midfield perhaps, but he'll be looking to make an impact in those wider areas. We touched on it, moving to the three at the back with the wing backs. They weren't really getting out on the flanks with the lack of width, particularly in the final third with no out and out wingers. So
it's looking like a 4-3-3 to me, Nick. I think Ramirez and Theodorakopoulos might be the 2 10s as Oakley break forward. Pierce Waring going backwards to Connor Hampson. Brody Boyce now. Short to Sinclair. Wellsmore. Exchanging passes with Holmes. Acol. Putting his foot through the ball, only finding Theodorakopoulos. Has to battle for it, and then Doveton with the distinctive head bandage. Skips away from the challenger Sinclair. And a very composed bit of play from Junior Carter. He needs an option though, and fast. Carter forced to play an ambitious switch. You know what? It's right on the money, and Al-Sadi can't quite control it. It's an unenviable task for Junior Carter there. He got a little stuck without a teammate in support.
Yeah, he uses his body so well in those tight situations. I was just thinking he might have had the opportunity once he turned back inside to play it across into the middle. Dufton was making himself available, and that switch seemed to be, as you called, ambitious, but as you called again, it was on the money. Al-Sadi, with his first involvement in the game, couldn't bring it down.
Christos Theodorakopoulos stops Wellsmore in his tracks. Tavella. Al-Sadi not getting much joy so far against Connor Hampson, but nobody has today, really. It's a mid-season acquisition last year from Pascoe Vale. Mohammed Al-Sadi. Golding. Combining with Theodorakopoulos, and then Ramirez. Picks out Al-Sadi on the right. Al-Sadi cutting past the challenger McGill. Ramirez. Didn't get much behind that.
You mentioned that battle with Al-Sadi coming on. We were highlighting Hampson throughout the first half. You can see already the first couple of times that Al-Sadi's received on that right side, looking to come in on his left foot.
Here's Wellsmore. Salmon has drifted wide. Throws a little step over and drops the shoulder, but Cross can't beat Junior Carter. McGill. To Eliopoulos. Can he find a gap to exploit? Manningham set up pretty sturdily in their shape at the moment. Carter and Tavella can't quite get it away. Now Eliopoulos looking for Wellsmore on the far side, picks him out. Emlyn Wellsmore goes to work. Bringing out the tricks and flicks. Can't create space against Reece Doveton, who's stuck to his task. Golding back the other way. Theodorakopoulos. Ramirez. I just left it behind Golding and then flew in with an ill-disciplined tackle. And there's spot fires going on off the ball. McGill's gone to ground. Did Ramirez strike him there? Assistant was right on the scene. I think Ramirez was about to get a card, but the referee was trying to play advantage. Now there's some real sorting out to do. To me, it looked slightly theatrical, the fall from Cam McGill, that he was trying to bait Ramirez into something. But the initial challenge was pretty ugly.
Yeah, certainly it was a sloppy giveaway from Ramirez.
And a red card has come out here. Jose Ramirez is off here, and it's for the retaliation against Cam McGill. Manningham down to 10. Well, if it was a straight red card, Nick, for the tackle, the referee would have stopped the game immediately. So you have to imagine it's for the subsequent incident involving Cam McGill.
Yeah, I think so. You could see the referee signalling for the advantage. And as the play seemed to develop, he was always keeping one eye off the ball. So it seems like it must be for the afters rather than the initial tackle.
I mean, there's no excusing off-the-ball blow-ups, Nick, but I have to say, I'm surprised the referee just didn't stop the game initially and try and put out any spot fires then and there, because it was a nasty enough challenge and not exactly, a clear goal-scoring opportunity for Oakley. It was a slightly odd one.
I think you're right, and as I mentioned, he was almost took his eyes off the play while signalling for the advantage anyway. It was actually a little bit confusing at the time whether he'd blown up for the foul or was willing to let play go on, and then, yeah, you're right, that opens up the opportunity for some afters to happen. You could see McGill, ran in from a good few metres away to get in Ramirez's face, and yeah, that's certainly not what Manningham would have wanted to start this second half.
It seems like Cam McGill has played Jose Ramirez like a fiddle there. He's a master of the dark arts, Cam McGill. He knows how to win a free kick. He knows how to get an opponent booked.
Yeah, you can see he's actually turned around to remonstrate with Ramirez after the initial challenge, which, as we were saying, was a poor one. Whether or not perhaps Ramirez can argue the red card, I think he certainly can't argue the yellow that he would have received for the initial challenge after giving away possession. You could see the frustration straight away, just flew into a very late challenge. But
yeah, for me, Nick, that's just a poor bit of game management. Although you expect your captain to back away there and show a bit of better judgment than getting involved in that sort of scrap, but he's been suckered in, and Manningham are down to 10. Well, a really bizarre incident to start this second half, and the task, which was already an uphill battle for Manningham, has just got even tougher. Sinclair out to Hampson. Waring. Pierce Waring shrugs off the challenge of Al-Sadi. Cuts it back for Holmes. On to Sinclair. It's Kingsley Sinclair lining one up, and it flies high and wide.
never troubling the target, that one.
Well, I mean, the interesting part about this game now, Nick, is not so much the scoreline. I think it's almost an impossible task as McGilp strides forwards. McGilp unleashes, and that one is no closer to the target than Sinclair got a few moments ago. But it's just how heated things will get out there now. Oakley have got a big game coming up against Heidelberg, a Greek derby next week. So after the red card incident, they don't want to be getting involved in any rough stuff or incidents off the ball, and Manningham will be absolutely burning after what they feel is an injustice.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think Oakley now, the 2-goal cushion, the red card, which sort of seems like it might stifle a little bit of momentum that Manningham seemed to be building in the game. Yeah, with that advantage on the scoreboard and in terms of personnel, you think Oakley will just make sure they're not taking any risks and see the rest of this game out. But you know, again, Manningham, we touched on it at the end of the first half. It's far from over. There's still plenty in this game. We've seen, you know, teams with 10 men make things happen before, so I think they need to keep their cool as well. Make sure it doesn't become 9 or, you know, they start playing themselves out of this game.
Oh, and here we go. Bit of wrestling involving Theodorakopoulos. And the whistle goes against Manningham.
Seemed to me a bit of hands from both players there, from players on either side.
Sinclair. Theodorakopoulos.
Yes, Chris.
Great challenge from Theodorakopoulos on McGilp, but now Everson. McGilp winning it back. You could just see the step up in intensity and ferocity of those challenges. When the fuse is lit, sometimes there's no going back. Sikora. Castiello. Challenge on Carter. Referee trying to play the advantage again. Carter out to Everson. Everson up against Kingsley Sinclair. Has Dufton on the outside in supports. Everson went on his own and thundered the ball into Emlyn Wellsmore's shins. And it's Wellsmore who springs away in transition. Marco Tavella with a bit of front foot defending for Manningham. Golding trying to play the 1-2, but Hampson saw it coming. Salmon.
What a touch.
That is absolutely ridiculous from Alex Salmon. He does it so often it looks routine. Here comes Pierce Waring. What can he conjure from the left? Castiello flying in. So too was Golding. Ball stuck under the feet of these players, and now it spills out to Alex Salmon. McGilp exchanging passes with Hampson. Salmon lifting it over for Joe Guest. And the deflection takes it safely into the hands of Sikora, the goalkeeper. I think Cam McGilp has inherited Tyson Holmes' shirt number at Oakleigh. I think he's inherited his role in the team as Chief S-Houser. Obviously a very fine midfield player himself, and Holmes the same, but they do love to stir things up in the background.
You're not a true NPL Victorian midfielder unless you have a bit of that about you, are you?
Absolutely.
Interesting looking at Manningham's structure now. They seem to be committing men forward despite the numerical disadvantage now.
They've got nothing to lose. Joe Guest bursting through. And Dow Ackle got a touch on that with his toe. Dufton. Well, it's a risky pass from Sikora, but well, doesn't feel like Manningham have got any fear left. They're thinking, well, we may as well just roll the dice here and play on instinct. This is much better from Manningham. The shackles are off.
Ben!
I don't think you could tell they're playing with 10 at the moment. Also, we might see the effects later on in the game, but at the moment they're running on adrenaline. Castiello, Tavella, skips past Hampson. Tavella with a cutback. Oh, and two players getting in each other's way there. Oh, Ben Everson thought the ball should have been his. It was a golden chance for Manningham, really, but they didn't get a shot away. McGill out to Salmon, Guest in the middle. Soft Akol and into touch for an Oakley throw. No, Salmon will elect to keep it alive. Waring wants it on his right. Pierce Waring trying to curl one, and Sikora made a late dive at it and got a fingertip to just make sure it was turned around the far post.
Seeing how stretched this game is becoming now. Manningham with one less on the park and now willing to throw men forward and looking really bold in possession, but Oakley got plenty of space to counter.
And Noah Holmes not allowed to continue off that short corner. Instead, Guest will size up his options in the middle. Sikora off his line, doesn't get there. And Oakley have a third. It's Connor Hampson who caps his star turn today with a goal. He is so prolific off set pieces. 7 goals last season and 2 so far this campaign. And the Curzon Ashton connection, the former teammates in England, reunited at the Oakley Cannons. Joe Guest to the head of Connor Hampson. That combination bears fruit for the upteenth time.
You won't see a more deserving goal scorer today and possibly across the entire weekend of action in NPL Victoria. He's just had an outstanding game on both sides of the ball. He's been everywhere on that left touch line, and what a fantastic leap that was. You don't typically think about left fullbacks being big targets in the air from set pieces, but what a leap. Fantastic header, and Sikora he might watch that one back during the week and wish he was a little bit more composed. He probably didn't have to come out for it, but Hampson punished him and caps off his brilliant display.
Junior Carter picks it off. Golding sliding in, keeping it alive somehow on the touchline.
That's a sucker punch for Manningham as well, because you go back to a couple of minutes before when they'd broken forward just before conceding that corner. That big chance, the cutback, and Ben Everson and Mohammed Al-Sadi just got in each other's way in the box. I wonder how they have communicated or figured out how to get a chance on goal in that scenario. It was a big opening.
Here goes Salmon. Guest. Hampson couldn't get there ahead of Castiello. Al-Sadi taking over. Castiello forced it through somehow. Theodore Akopoulos tried to play it with the outside of his boot. Maybe an easier square option onto Dufton there. Again, the advantage is signalled. Salmon. Sizing up the direct shot on goal. Well, we know he's got it in his locker, Alex Salmon. That one zips wide of the target.
I feel like Salmon, Guest, a couple of the other forward players for Oakley might be licking their lips now and seeing if they can add another 1-2 to their individual totals as well as the team total.
Well, the whistle does go there, and maybe a little too soon for Theodorakopoulos' liking. Set piece opportunity for Manningham. Theodorakopoulos. Everson. Good first touch from Ben Everson. He's running into a blind alley here, though. Somehow forced it through to Castiello. Oh, and Theodorakopoulos would have been free off the cutback. But he was losing his footing there, and sliding, stretching for the ball, Castiello. Everson still trying to plough a lone furrow past a swath of Oakley defenders. Now we've got the subs board up. Oh, and it's going to be Everson off. Well, maybe they've decided to keep their powder dry and try not to absolutely annihilate the goal difference, Manningham. It's Abdul Abdallah who's come on.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Maybe just saving Ben Everson for the coming weeks. They've got a big stretch in their next handful of games. Manningham, a couple of big games against some top 6 teams and a couple of important 6-pointers, if you like, against teams in and around them on the table. So maybe unfair to label it a bit of a resignation, that change, but 3-0 down to 10 men. Perhaps just saving their star man for the next few weeks.
Wellsmore onto the left foot. Wellsmore! I thought for a moment it had found the bottom corner there, Nick.
Sikora was rooted to the spot.
I think it's actually hit the support post and drifted behind the goal, but the back of the net bulged. It fooled me for a moment, not going to lie.
It certainly looked like it was creeping into that bottom corner, and I think Sikora was watching on and praying it went the right side of the post from his point of view, and just as well it did.
Change for Oakley now. It's Manib Adis who's come on, and Emlyn Wellsmore, that's going to be his last acts of the afternoon. Pierce Waring across to the right-hand side, Manib Adis on the left. And Adis absolutely torched Manningham in round 1, so he'll be licking his lips. He's got the prospect of a short-handed defence here. Golding. Little drag back from Tom Golding. Runs into traffic against Boyce. No change out of the officials. Heliopolis opts for safety at the feet of Nick Feely. Haven't called his name in a while. He's been a spectator.
Just checking that he's still there.
I think it's still Nick Feely. I don't think they've made a goalkeeping change, but they could have fooled me if they had. I haven't checked in a while. McGill. Sinclair. On to Waring. Pierce Waring. Left-footed delivery. It's flicked on by Salmon, but he never quite craned his neck around to flighted the ball to direct it goalwards.
Looks like Waring's swapped wings since that substitution. Come over to the right touchline with Adis going over to the left. There's a nice little bit of skill and the ball in. You could see what Salmon was trying to do with that little flicked header, aiming for the far corner.
Which I guess on the press. Carter went to grounds and regained his feet rather urgently. Boyce winning that header. Waring. Well, Castiello was playing him on. Theodorakopoulos, well, that's always going to be a free kick with the arm around the shoulder.
Yeah, he may have taken the ball with the challenge with his feet, but as you said, pulling back on the shoulder, that's always a foul.
Well, so far it's been the 3 English imports who've made the difference this afternoon for Oakley. Guest, Salmon, Hampson. It's Guest over the free kick. Great shape on it again. Hampson's in there. And free kick goes the other way. Referee spots an infringement in the pack somewhere.
What a ball that was from Joe Guest. That is the very definition of corridor of uncertainty. Had it not have inadvertently struck Hampson's hand, the way that was sitting up, that was begging for someone to smash it in from close range. But that is just outstanding delivery from Guest.
Carter. His set-piece delivery has just been such a cornerstone on which Chris Taylor's success at Oakley has been built. Abdallah. Looking for Al-Saad. Ooh, big decision here. Red card. It's 10v10 and Jacob Eliopoulos is dismissed. Oh, in an instant, Manningham withdrew. Mohamed El Saadi brought down. Oakley claim he got a piece of the ball there. The referee had little hesitation. And now, it's not just a problem with one centre-back taking an early shower. It's Brodie Boyce who's down injured as well. So this could be a double whammy for the Oakley Cannons.
Wow. Well, you said it, Josh, once Jose Ramirez was sent off for Manningham, that we had that couple of minutes where a couple of fiery little challenges, tussles between players on both sides. You mentioned big game for Oakley against Heidelberg next week, and you're just looking for them to stay calm, not get involved in anything, and make sure they see this game out with no troubles. It's sort of innocuous break forward for Manningham, just an aerial challenge, an opportunity to play a ball in behind. Brilliant pace from Al-Saadi to get through on goal.
Just going to have another look at that red card offence. Oh, gee. Is Eliopoulos hard done by there, I wonder? It's a line ball call for the referee. It's either play on, no whistle, or straight red card. There's nothing in between. I think the attackers just got there first, and it looks like a spot-on decision from the officials. So
I think so too.
Jacob Eliopoulos sent off for the second time this season.
And as you said, Bryce went down in the earlier challenge. He's just on the near touchline here with the physio.
Let's see what Christos Theodorakopoulos has up his sleeve. It's deflected. Nick Feely comes up with a big save, and then it's handball against Abdallah off the rebounds. Wow. This game has been very eventful in this second half. Still a comfortable Oakley lead, but that doesn't tell the whole story. And the Oakley Cannons will have to do without Jacob Eliopoulos next week against Heidelberg.
He knew it as well, Eliopoulos, after he made that challenge. Once he didn't connect with the ball, like you said, it's either no call or even the slightest amount of contact. The referee has to give the foul and the red card for denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. And that could have big ramifications for Oakley for next week. Obviously, assuming they're still safe for the 3 points for today.
Honestly, Nick, I mean, I know it's counter to every competitive instinct you have as a footballer, but I'd be saying to Jacob Eliopoulos, cop the goal, mate. Don't worry about it. You're still up 3-1. Still a good chance for 3 points here.
Exactly right.
Now it's 10 v 10, and well, if there's any team who can come back and do the improbable when no one believes in them, it's Manningham. It's time running out on them, though. 15 minutes plus stoppages to play. Hampson heads down for Guest. Interestingly, they haven't made a change here yet. Might be one coming. Minibatis for Oakley in the meantime. Hampson goes down in search of a spot kick, and Dawakol wags his finger Dikembe Mutombo style.
Ref was quick to urge Hampson to get up. No real appeals from Hampson himself. That's always a telltale sign that there wasn't much in it.
Now Boyce has got a problem. Oh dear. Oakley are down from 2 centre-backs a few minutes ago to 0. And now the change is incoming. And that's the one area of their squad. They're blessed with attacking riches, deep midfield, but they don't have a lot of defenders, so much so that Kingsley Sinclair is a converted winger playing at right back in the starting lineup. And now they're bringing on Stefan Valentini for Brodie Boyce. So not exactly a like-for-like change.
Not at all. This is going to be an interesting one to see if he can get up for that Heidelberg game. You could just see in that aerial challenge right before the red card for Eliopoulos. Bryce was rising, I think, with Theodorakopoulos. And once he landed, I don't know if it was one of those where he sort of landed on Theodorakopoulos' foot, or clearly just landed awkwardly in some sort of way, turned his ankle over, or let's hope it's nothing too sinister and he can get on the park for a huge game next week.
It's going to be Noah Holmes, who deputises in defence in the meantime. Connor Hampson has slid in as the second centre-back, which he's more than comfortable doing. What can you tell me about Noah Holmes, Nick? He's a Western United product. Has he ever played as a central defender before, in your recollection?
Not that I can recall, but I mean, you look at the stature of him. I think he's not necessarily unsuited to it when needs must. He's got the height, that sort of grace, and the strength that we see in the middle of the park.
Valentini fouled, clear free kick against Dufton.
But you might have to get used to playing centre-back, no Holmes. You might have to do it from the start and for 90 minutes next week.
Yeah, it's say hello to Josh Pinn and Kane Shepherd. It'd be a baptism of fire if he's called upon again in that position.
Joe Guest territory once more from the set piece.
All right, it's another brilliant ball. It's off Al-Sadi and away. Here comes Minibatis. Swings it in low. Al-Sadi can't make the most of the scraps. Manningham do win a throw-in. Tavella for Carter. Well, what was routine? And the result still might be coming their way, Oakley, by the looks of things, but... Oh, that's a good ball, though. Here comes Abdallah. The flag is up for offside. Takes an opportunity for a bit of shooting practice regardless, but...
Gee, that looked tight. That was a fantastic ball over the top from Dufton. Abdallah making that little out-to-in run from the right side through the middle. To me, from up here, that he might have timed it perfectly, but...
Again, we're on a very narrow, shallow angle here to that goal, so... Assistant referee had a much better view of things, but Don. Sakura claims the loose ball. Here comes Doveton, trying to release Abdallah again. He's definitely onside this time. Noah Holmes marshalled him really well.
It's the first little test of Holmes' centre-back credentials. Stood up well in that instance.
On the replay, he does look a bit hard done by Nick. Again, the angle can be deceiving. Theodorakopoulos, Golding. Cut back to Doveton. Now Abdallah. Manningham have numbers forward here. Al-Sadi, what a bit of footwork. It's deflected and in! Manningham have a goal back. And just maybe a glimmer of hope in this contest. Christos Theodorakopoulos with his 7th goal of the campaign.
They've deserved that for their work in the second half. And the couple of chances that they've just built in the last couple of minutes as well. What about the footwork on the right-hand side from Mohamed Al-Sadi? Skips between a couple of Oakley defenders and came to Theodorakopoulos perhaps without him knowing too much about it, but reacted really well to steer that header on target. And Manningham have deserved that. They keep up their record of scoring in every home game so far this season, and 10 minutes left. 2 goals, you never know.
They come again. Golding, blocked by Hampson. Manningham corner. So you're telling me there's a chance, Nick?
You never know. We've touched on it.
That's just outrageous, Tekkers from Al-Sadi on the goal. Maybe he deserved to finish it himself. Instead, the ball pops up for Christos there. It's about as much of a dead eye as anyone in this competition from that sort of range. It's going to spill out to Doveton. Floats it to the far post. Al-Sadi again. Ooh, got it all wrong.
Everyone seems to just be standing watching him chest that one down for a second. Almost had too much time to think about it and try and bring it down and figure out what to do with it. Let's see what's in store for these last 10 minutes. And Manningham, they can throw bodies forward. They've brought pace off the bench. We've seen Al-Sadi, Abdallah make impacts, stretching Oakley's defence, a makeshift Oakley defence now, getting in behind. So let's see.
Castiello. He's going to have to head his own clearance here. It's an awkward one. Adis making it difficult. Theodorakopoulos. Great composure. Finds Golding. Well, we thought they'd given up the ghost when Ben Everson went to the bench. Not so. Here comes Al-Sadi. That's a good ball looking for Everson. And the high foot goes against Theodorakopoulos.
Yeah, that's a tough one there. I think Sinclair it was. Defending, dropping his head to head that away, but that's one that the referees are always going to give.
Doveton. Golding. Couldn't lay it off in time. Valentini. No way past Reece Doveton. Here's Junior Carter. Did enough with the switch to give Al-Sadi a chance, and he skips past the challenge of Guest. Oh, lovely back heel from Guest to return the ball to Cam McGill. Here goes Alex Salmon. Has Tavella on his tail. Back with McGill, and now Waring. And now Valentini. Stefan Valentini, and then Salmon! Oh, inside of the post. And Manningham's hopes really hung by a thread there.
It was just like Wellsmore's one before. You're just waiting for the net to bulge. This one actually striking the posts. And the inside of it as well. It's just about as close as you can come.
Oh, Valentini! That is outrageous. Stefan Valentini nets against Manningham for the second time this season. And it's an absolute thunderbolt into the roof of the net. Pins his defender off the throw-in, spins on a dime, and fires it home to make the point safe at long last for the Oakley Cannons.
Well, what were we saying about these last 10 minutes and Oakley maybe getting a little bit twitchy? Turn it on, couple of chances. First you don't succeed, hitting the post through Salmon. That is Stefan Valentini to a T, isn't it? Coming off the bench, missing last week. Such a huge in for Oakley. Coming on for the centre-back change, but obviously putting himself on the right wing. The turn, the finish, into the top corner. Fantastic.
This game really seemed like a live prospect until that shot hit the back of the net, and that's credit to Manningham. Scoreline won't flatter them at the end of the day. They should take heart from this performance regardless. Carter. Thundering challenge from Junior Carter.
His team might not get the 3 points today, but I'd go so far as to say Junior Carter may well be up there in terms of the man of the match voting. I've loved watching him play today. The way he finds space in midfield, gets on the ball, spreads the play, and has had Manningham playing forward and defensively as well, like that challenge just there.
Tufton looking for Golding. Al-Sadi. Mohammed Al-Sadi wants it on his left. Now Tom Golding. Exchanging passes with Abdallah. Still it's Tom Golding! And he fires wide of the mark. Agonisingly across the face. Manningham almost had a second.
What an end to this game we're having. Chances galore all of a sudden on both sides. Fantastic interplay on the edge of the box there. We've touched on Golding perhaps not quite being as involved as he would have liked. But that was a lovely little link up with Abdallah.
If this second half has taught us anything, it's that Manningham shouldn't compromise on who they are. I think in the first half they were a little defensive, a little negative, and it just didn't suit them. This is where Manningham are at their best, stretching teams, taking risks. They'll lose heavily some weeks, they'll win others. Carter gets it back from Theodorakopoulos. Carter onto Al-Sadi. Well saved by Feely.
You're spot on, Josh.
They've created more chances in the last 5 minutes than they created in the entire first half.
Spot on. That's another outstanding move forward. Carter again behind it, linking up and getting himself on the edge of the box. And I've been really impressed with Al-Sadi off the bench.
Valentini stopped in his tracks by Junior Carter. He's just been outstanding today. Again, in spite of the scoreline. Castiello. Carter. Dufton. He's got Golding as the free man on the left. Nice 1-2 with Christos Theodorakopoulos, and then Tom Golding still trying to tune his radar and find the top corner. Gee, you've seen flashes of the ability and the potential there from Tom Golding in the last few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see, you know, that he's kept his head up as well. It's not quite been his day. That the game sort of hasn't come to him, as we've said. But you can see his quality, his energy. And I love the way Manningham are finishing this game. You know, they get that one back. They think maybe they've got to sniff at it. Concede the fourth soon after, but they haven't stopped.
Oh, Holmes, risky backward header to Feely. Again, he's not familiar with the position there, Noah Holmes, and he nearly lobbed his own goalkeeper. Valentini for Kingsley Sinclair. Well, for Oakley, they might be totting up the cost of this afternoon after losing Jacob Eliopoulos to a red card and Brodie Boyce to an injury. It's the last position they can afford to lose bodies in the centre of defence. No whistle against McGilt for handball. Waring back to Holmes. Sinclair. He's got Akers in front of him. Waring for Valentini. Scorer of the fourth goal today. Valentini. Guest. Could there be a sting in the tail here? Oakley knocking it around so confidently here, and we've seen a few cracks in their seemingly impenetrable armour today, but when they get the ball moving like this, they're hard to stop. Sinclair.
Get him up, lads, get him up, get him up!
Hampson. Holmes looking for Sinclair, and the move breaks down. It's well defended in the end, really, by Manningham. But again, it takes time off the clock. Carter. Great footwork again to get away from Salmon. Can't quite find Moel Sadi on the far side. Noah Holmes. I just wonder whether Manningham were a little bit spooked by the result last night for Moreland City and thought, got to try and grind out a draw here. It's something we haven't done all season. But again, I think they should just be themselves and come what may, because it's gotten them this far, and you've only got to win a small handful of games, maybe 5 or 6 wins for the season. It'll probably keep you up.
100%, and that was what they did here against Avondale to get that first big scalp of the season. They didn't waver from their principles, their way of playing, and it's not like that was a smash and grab 1-0. That was a dominant 3-0 performance on that day. And we've seen the potential in what they've given with 10 men, and for fair chunks of time when it was 10 versus 11 as well.
And even without Ben Everson on the park, they've shown some real attacking threat. Carter. That one was indeed ambitious. Doesn't come off. Sinclair. McGill. Evades the challenge of Golding. Little reverse into the feet of Valentini. The cutback's on for Salmon. And he shot his charge down. Here's Theodorakopoulos. Maybe one last forward foray for Manningham, but it's telegraphed and picked off by Hampson. Hampson brought down.
One last interception just for good measure for Hampson today.
He's talking about man of the match. I think he's my pick, Nick.
I agree.
The goal, an outrageously good defensive performance. Having to deputise at centre-back as well. Done just about everything you could ask from a left-back stroke centre-back. Valentini, Doveton got across, and that's going to be an Oakley corner. You can see the frustration. sting's really gone out of this one, especially after the Valentini goal. Felt like if Manningham had brought it back to 3-2, there would have been panic stations in the Oakley back line. Instead, it's going to be a comfortable win for the Cannons as Salmon tries to help it on at the near stick. Doveton dragged back from his own goalkeeper, Waring, and then saved on the line by Dan Wackolt. And just as well, I think, because the fifth would have been really harsh on Manningham. Best bit of distribution again from Sikora.
Some touch from Waring to bring it down.
I don't know how much he knew about it. If he's meant that, that is absolutely ridiculous. Glance at the watch from the referee. The last throws for this very eventful afternoon at Petty's Reserve. Carter, another challenge one. And then Valentini fancies this one. Sikora off his line just in time. Dufton brings it out of the air. Dribbles into traffic. McGill. Could be on for Oakley here. McGill for Valentini. Can he grab a second? Stefan Valentini. He squares it up for Manibaitis and it's blocked. Still we go on here. We must have got a decent chunk. I guess it took a long time for Jose Ramirez to get off the pitch, and then we had the injury to Boyce. And that one's trickled out on Kingsley Sinclair. Abdella. Carter. Golding looking to feed Abdalla down the line. Sinclair into touch. Dufton with the throw. Abdalla finds a narrow gap. Abdalla nearly nabbed a goal back for Manningham. It would have been his first of the season. And that will signal full time at Petty's Reserve. And the final score doesn't really tell the full story of this one. But Oakley Cannons continue on their march. 6 wins in a row, including a cup win, so in all competitions there. And they carry this momentum into next week's big derby against Heidelberg United. Goals initially from Joe Guest and Alex Salmon in the first half, polished off by a towering header from Connor Hampson and a bullet from Stefan Valentini off the bench. Manningham's only reply came from Christos Theodorakopoulos after some brilliant lead-up work from Mohamed El Sadi. And it was also a tale of 2 red cards. Jose Ramirez dismissed in controversial circumstances after an incident off the ball involving Cam McGill. And then Jacob Eliopoulos bringing down an attacker running through on goal. So he will be suspended for next week as well. And Brodie Boyce injured, leaving Oakley with a defensive injury crisis. But that's next week's problem. This week they celebrate 3 points and an emphatic final scoreline of Manningham United 1, Oakley Cannons 4. Nick Hughes, your final thoughts on this afternoon's, well, very exciting for the neutral, but a real kick in the teeth for Manningham.
Certainly, I think 2-0 at half-time, we were wondering if Oakley might just, see it out, keep it calm for the second half. It was anything but. Plenty of action right to the very end. As you said, I think 4-1 is harsh on Manningham, particularly the way they played the second half for a significant period with 10 men and 10 versus 11 at that as well. But Oakley's quality, you can just see it in the names of the goal scorers that you just reeled off. When you're able to bring Stefan Valentini off the bench with a healthy lead already and he can score a goal like he did. The quality told in the end for Oakley, and it's an important win for them as well. A couple of the teams around the top have already won this weekend. They're keeping in touch at the top of the table, and yeah, we'll see what happens with the centre backs looking into next week. But overall, super entertaining game, and and one that I think both teams can take plenty out of.
Well, superb value for the neutral. We hope you've enjoyed today's action on the NPL Victoria live stream. Green shoots for Manningham, despite the result, but they do find themselves in a relegation dogfight. And as for the Oakley Cannons, they can cast their eyes up the table in a, you could argue, 5-way race for the NPL Victoria title this season. And with Heidelberg next week, that one's a blockbuster on Sunday afternoon that you're not going to want to miss. But that's all from us this afternoon. Josh Parrish and Nick Hughes signing off from Petty's Reserve. The final score, Manningham United Blues 1, Oakley Cannons 4.